This episode is full of unfiltered fun and truth, all spilled by Harpreet Singh Grover, co-founder of CoCubes and a best-selling author. Being in the HR sector myself, I know the insights and the tough journey it can be to disrupt this market. And Harpreet, along with his co-founder Vibhor, did just that. I have personally loved reading his book, Let's Build a Company. Do check it out. In this chat, however, we do talk about a few things from his book, like how he recruits people, how they let people choose whatever designation they want while working for his company. But we also talk a lot about how he defines well-being, happiness, productivity, parenting and family relationships. How does he build focus? What are the biggest mistakes people make in thinking about well-being? Just the kind of things we like to talk about, I feel, on this platform, I feel fine. And don't miss the last section on the quick 5 rounds on what he thinks is the essentials for living a fulfilled life. I could listen to this episode again and again and come up with new thoughts every time. This is Harpreet Singh Grover on I Feel Fine. So let me start with a broad generic question in terms of when I say the word well-being, what does it mean to you?
So I'm saying, I think if you look it up online, which I did, once you sent me the, a question, it generally means a state of being comfortable or happy. That's what at least the dictionary definition is. And I thought that was quite strange because, the questions comfortable and happy next to each other didn't make sense to me. Because I've seen that the more comfortable you get, the less happier you get. Like a comfortable life spent by the beach is not a life of well-being. It's not a life that is going to give you happiness. You can't just sit on the beach, and that for photograph, right? You're looking at the beach, lying, a drink in your hand. That is not well-being. It is sold to us as well-being, but that is not well-being. Comfort can be a temporary state that comes from happiness, but it cannot give you happiness in itself.
What is well-being then for you? Yeah.
Sorry?
So what is it for you?
To me, being happy, well-being means being a little enthusiastic about something every day. If you wake up and you're enthusiastic about something, I think I'm in the right state of mind. That is my gauge for well-being.
That's very interesting because I remember now that I read something by Tim Ferriss at some point of time, and he says the opposite of happiness is not sadness. The opposite of happiness is boredom. And that's similar to what you're saying, right? That if you're just comfortably there, that's not happiness. Okay. Do you think that enthusiasm or well-being and the way you look at it, combined with high performance, how do you see that meshing in? And the background for that is that a lot of times we see people making assumptions, at least in the South Asian culture, that if you are successful, you have to give up some other parts of your life and your personality. It's like a badge of honor sometimes.
Yeah.
And if you're busy, that's a great thing. It comes with a lot of connotations. What do you think about these things? Like, do you think there is a trade-off?
I think you said a lot of things. There are 2 or 3 angles to this. One thought I read, which I thought was great. Not true always, but good to keep in mind is beware the barrenness of a busy life. If you're busy, you do, let's say, the same thing every day, go to office, I'm saying, you are actually missing out on a lot of things. So that's one. Yeah, I think the thought really stuck with me. Beware the barrenness of a busy life. The other bit you said was, successful. I think it is important to be able to define what success means. For the way you use it, it either means power, fame, or money. If you have a lot of money, if you wear nice suits, if you have a car, a house, and everything to go along with it, you are successful. That is how it is sold to us, at least. And I think actually to get there needs a lot of hard work. You can't say I'm going to lie on my back, sit tight, and this kind of success will come to me. So I think if you want that kind of success, you will have to work hard. There is no doubt about it. You can get lucky, but that luck also happens if you're working hard. It is possible you keep working, don't get lucky. You might get there, might not get there, but Getting there will need hard work. That is for sure. I think the thing here is how does one define success? To me, and I was talking to a friend around it, um, because I haven't been working for the last 2 years. I've been chilling in the sense I haven't been. I think I've been learning a lot, but I haven't been working for money. So I've not earned anything for the last 2 years. My mother is quite worried actually.
I
But I
want to
was
ask you about that later to you.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
But I was talking to a friend and I said, yeah, look, what is important is what seems important in life is that some curve has to go up. So you need to learn something over a period of time. If you continue doing that, you can be happy, or you can continue to stay in a state of happiness or well-being, as you might call it. Now, if you want the curve of money to go up, then it's good you have to focus on that, as long as you are clear. If you want to learn flute and you want that curve to go up, you can be very happy only learning flute. You don't need any of the other tamasha. Okay. What is important is to make that choice. Which curve do you want to go up? Now, do you think a good flute player is a successful person? It depends on your mind. If you think he's a successful person, great for you. Go and learn flute. If it is something else, then please go and do that. Yeah. The important bit sometimes happens is you are not able to make that choice in that moment of which curve do you want to go up. So one framework is to go 10 years ahead in your life and look back and say, oh, which curve should I have worked on? So imagine you're 10 years ahead, then look back, or talk to people who are 10 years ahead and look back. Yeah. That is how at least I would see.
I sense a lot of themes around learning and growth then, because if it's financial well-being, it's about growing your wealth. It's about flute learning. It's just learning and growing in that space. And a lot of companies actually now are testing for learning agility and growth mindset. A lot of skills people know are becoming obsolete. So I think it's all over connected, even from a professional success perspective. That brings me to an interesting point. When you grew up, like how did you define success while growing up? And has it changed after your experience of building and selling a company?
So how do I put this? In the sense of that, I think when I was growing up, the only thing I can remember is I was playing cricket all the time and going to school. Life was good, nothing to complain about. And then when there was time to do something, engineering was the only option. Like I did not know if there were other options existed. Some of my cousin brothers had gone to IIT. Yeah,
all of us.
Absolutely. And he said this is the option: either be a doctor or be an engineer. So he became an engineer. Engineering करनी है तो अच्छी जगह से करनी है. Thankfully, got into the right college and ended up somewhere. I think I think I made the choice to break from that path early when I chose to start a company with Wipro. Yes. And I'm so glad about that decision. Because I think what happens to us is, and this is one reason that I am spending more time with kids and around parenting, is that you see your life in this 0 to 10 bracket, 10 to 20 bracket, 20 to 40 bracket. And I think working with the folks in 20 to 40 is not very useful because they are like bow shot from arrows. Okay, you have been told 10th में अच्छे marks लेके आओगे तो अच्छा होगा, you'll feel happy. नहीं 12th में लेके आओगे तो happy. Okay, get to a nice college, it'll be good. No, get a job, it'll be good. Oh no, get married, it'll be good. Have kids, it'll be good. And then so this goes on. And then by 35, 40, you say, yaar, ab to sab kuch kar liya. Where is this happiness that I was seeking? And that is when you're again open to, some people call it the midlife crisis. But that is when you're again open to listening, because what you had been brainwashed for the first 20 years has now been done, and you don't feel at peace still. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm saying, that.
So they need a lot of help. People at this stage need a lot of help. But it's even better if you work with kids, because then, you can shape that up.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. But after selling the company, I think, the 2 or 3 things I realized. One, I realized the importance of being in a moment, of not looking backward or too much in the future, being able to enjoy where you are. Yeah. If I am doing this podcast with you, webinar with you, then I'm saying I need to be able to talk to Rashmi, and these are my thoughts. I shouldn't be worried about my daughter's school or something else or the meeting after this. If I can be in this moment, I think that is great. It doesn't come automatically. You need to actually work a lot to be there, but it can come. Yeah. The second, I think, sorry. I think
Go ahead.
the second thing is, like I was saying, that you have to choose a curve that you want to be on. And the third is how to choose that, which is go 10 years ahead, look back and choose that curve. These are some things I learned over the last 2-3 years, and I hadn't thought of in these manner before actually selling the company.
Well, I read your book, and in the book you were talking about how your parents did not have you. I mean, for you to take up that job after your graduation and to leave that job, first of all, it requires a huge sense of self-awareness and what you want to do. Was it also helpful that I felt like your parents didn't have that kind of pressure, which a lot of kids who graduate have?
What is that pressure?
That as well, in terms of, no, there are loans and you got to work. You can't quit a well-paying, good job, a prestigious job to start your own company at that point of time. Where
no, I think they were there. They were there. In the sense of I don't think I come from a poor family, but I'm saying my father was in the bank for 30 years, and his compensation was 15,000-20,000 rupees, and they raised 2 kids on that compensation. So when I got a job, my compensation was more than my father. My first job, what I earned was more than what my father earned after 30 years of service. So I think it was a great deal for the family. And there were pushbacks. But I think in India, what happens is, once your parents, I think parents, try to push back, and then when they realize कि अरे तो करेगा ही, then they fully support you, is what I've seen in a lot of cases.
Asian parents rock.
Absolutely. Indian parents rock. Yeah. So I think that happened. If you ask me why I took the risk, it was because यार अगर नहीं चला तो नौकरी तो मिल ही जाएगी. Degree किसी दिन तो काम आएगी. कि हम IIT Bombay से हैं, हम we can go back and get a job. So the worst case scenario is 2 years of lost pay.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking the only thought in my head was, when I'm 40, I want to be looking back and saying, hey, I don't want to be looking back and saying, wish I had done this at 25. I want to be 25 and doing it.
Yeah.
And that absolutely made my mind clear.
Excellent. And I want to shift gears a little bit, just to get into a little bit of a startup space, right? So you've, of course, written a book, built a company. When you're around that audience or people who are founders working in startup, do you think a lot of people have this kind of awareness in terms of happiness, curve, growth, or do you think even founders, think about their balance or well-being? A lot of the pop culture is around over obsession with results, which obviously for valid reasons there should be.
Yeah.
What is something which you've observed around, which you wish, more people knew about in terms of you having that journey already?
Look, I was in that boat. I remember doing a half marathon in 2006 with 2 friends, just before we started the company. And we took like 2 hours, 45 minutes to complete it. We thought we were running. Then an old man, 70 years old, walked by with a stick in his hand. And, we stopped because we realized we were not running. We were just trying to complete the 21 kilometers. From there, you ended up starting a company, becoming more unhealthy. Because, you start a company, then you want to motivate people, so you do more parties, then you eat, drink, then you may hopefully get some money. And then you want to eat more, drink more, party more, work more, and all of it is a loop. Yeah. And I got out of that loop, I think in 2013-14, around the time when the company was not doing well, actually. And somehow it got stuck in my head that if I become more healthy, my company will become more healthy. That thoughts got stuck in my head. And that is what ended up happening. So I think it is how you train your mind to do it. Building a company is hard. You can't say, I want to have a balanced life and build a company. What you can hope to do is that the 2 hours you have for your family, you actually spend with them rather than on the phone or thinking about something else. And that could be enough. The other thing that I think the biggest mistake that people make is postponing these well-being. Postponing saying kal kar lunga, parso kar lunga, after 5 years is okay. Whereas I genuinely believe that even if you have no other time in the world, aap nahate to hoge na, at least you're taking a bath. So that takes 15-20 minutes. Maybe you can take a 30-minute walk as well. And 30-minute walk without a device, not listening to a podcast to increase your efficiency or increase your effectiveness, but just taking a walk, listening to sound on the road, hopefully some birds, hopefully something else, and just plugging away from everything. And I genuinely believe those 30 minutes are contribute to a lot more effectiveness and efficiency that the rest of the 13, 14, 15 hours that you want to work. That I think is the biggest mistake people made, which is equating more hours to more output. You still need to work 12 hours, but do you need to work 13, 14, 15, 16, or you can take 30 minutes out from somewhere to be able to do this walk? I think that is underrated.
You mean they shouldn't walk with like listening to podcast with 1.5x speed? That's a bummer.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I've seen some of these videos of these fortune minds in a day in the life, and you should see some of those videos and the comments beneath it. It's hilarious. So it's all about a spoof about how you can do 3 things at once and how it's cool to do that. But I agree, that's one of the biggest misconceptions. I think just overall scientifically and how the brain works as well. And I actually wanted to get into the incident which you mentioned, that your company, and I quote from the book that, you felt that if I become leaner, the company will become leaner and fitter.
Yeah.
And I know there were a couple of turning points you mentioned in the book, but is there any reason apart from that where you felt that your company, your team should be at their optimum fitness levels apart from the obvious? And you see that difference when you actually became fitter?
I mean, the first thing you do is you realize it in your own journey, and then you start believing that, dude, this has made a difference to me, and look at my team. Look at this guy. He joined me out of college. He was 62 kgs. Now he's 82. And he seems, while he's working hard, I do know he's kind of bored at work, etc. So, like, how do I get his enthusiasm? And this enthusiasm is not by offering a higher pay, or something else, or a different role. It is actually by making him excited about life, so that the mind releases the chemicals needed to be excited every day. And that is how this fitness thing came. One thing we ended up doing was, this was actually, we took the entire team. We didn't have a lot of money when we were going through this down phase, and we said, our annual outing, we will go to climb Triund in McLeodganj. Okay, there is this trek which is 5-6 hours. We said we'll go to climb it. A lot of adventures happened on that trek, but I'm saying the key thing was, we went with 60 people, and they barely made it to the top. A lot of them barely made it to the top. And then you realize yourself, you don't need any external somebody to tell you. You realize yourself, what the fuck have I done to my body? And we did that. And what we saw was, after we came back, there was a drastic change in how people were looking at fitness. A WhatsApp group got formed and said, what did you do today? Where everybody started posting, this is something I did. It was either badminton or something else. And I think that changed the curve. Like, everybody became kind of involved in the fitness journey. Some people, just became reasonably fit to do a walk of 30 minutes. Some people took up a hobby. Some people went the entire hog, got 6 abs. So it all depended on where one landed. But there was this thing of, I need to be fit. I need to take care of my body.
Absolutely. And people continued? Like, how was the thing after that initial?
No, like I said, everybody took their own path. I'm sure 20-30% went back to doing nothing. But I know 50 to 70% are still doing something. And a lot of them are still on that WhatsApp group. After we left the company, the WhatsApp group is still there. So
I love the name. What did you do today? It's so simple.
That's it.
Kuch to karo, do a 30-minute walk or something else.
Absolutely.
Kuch to karo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a big win. I've been on a journey for quite some time and everything, but I think just kuch to karo is an underestimated goal.
Yeah.
If
Move
you
your
can do
ass.
something every day, 7 days of the week, even 5 days of the week, that's a win. That's a huge win, even for people who've been doing it for long.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Talk to me about, about some counterintuitive, not counterintuitive, but unusual calls you took when you were building the company. One thing which intrigued me was the recognition, no individual awards, team awards. And I found that very interesting because as a consultant, I know I've done engagement surveys and it is for many companies. One of the top three reasons is always recognition. Individuals want to be recognized. How did you do that? How did it work for you? What were the lessons learned by only focusing on team awards? How did you maintain the motivations?
How do you?
Maintain the motivation of individuals.
Look, I'm saying once you make it categorical, there are no individual rewards. There's no question of motivation from that. Like nobody looks for that motivation anymore. I'm saying another extreme example of that is somebody said, "Meri designation kya hogi?" So we said, anything you want. You want to be a CEO, be a CEO. We don't care. You think you can carry it off? You carry it off. You don't have a problem. Yeah. And I'm saying, and then people realize, oh, it doesn't matter here. It might, and we said, you tell us what you want to put on the card because you want to show to your friends and family and on LinkedIn. You put whatever you want to put. We don't care. So people realize in that in that area, in that zone, it doesn't matter. They might, I've been reading around parenting. One of the best books I read around parenting, or the book which changed my view, was this book called The Nurture Assumption. Why children turn out the way they do. And one of the things in that is we have multiple personalities. As a parent, you might feel the child behaves in a certain way in front of us, and hence this is the child, but the real personality of the child is the one the child is with his friends.
Absolutely.
Okay. This one is the curated one in front of parents. For some, the parental environment is such, the child can be one. But in many cases, that is not the case. So I'm saying in our case, we curated this personality by setting the rules where the person said, as I walk into this door here, it doesn't matter.
Interesting.
Individual recognition doesn't matter.
Yeah. Do you feel that the team goals were given a lot more focus because was there competition between the teams? How did it pan out? Because there were still team rewards. How did you think through all of that?
Yeah, look, I'm saying we never got big enough to have competition between teams. We were about 150 people. So there were different teams, and there was, what was clear was there was an end goal. And you work together to get to that end goal. So it was not that, marketing team is great and this team is not great. That was not the case. Every team has to pull their weight if we want to get to where we want to get to. Some quarters, one team is required to do a different work, which is, like, for example, if you want to launch a product, the product work needs to happen before, while the marketing team is doing some other thing. And then when the product is out in the marketing team needs to, do their job.
Yeah.
So there's no question of, the last quarter product team was the hero, this quarter marketing team is the hero. That is not the case. The point is, there's an end goal. Have all of us work together to meet that end goal. That is what getting to the end goal is what really matters. A team winning or an individual winning, that doesn't matter. And I've seen that if people are convinced, if they know the goal of the company, if they know the role they are supposed to play in getting to that goal. And this is the third part, and most entrepreneurs miss this, is if they know what they're going to make, what will they get if the end goal is made? People don't need anything else.
And of course, in your book, you talk about your bonuses and rewards and all of that for the third part. I think that makes it complete. You also mentioned a little bit about recruiting, and I found that very helpful. Recruiting for lower level, junior members, middle managers, and then senior members. And you talked about something like self-managed people. I'm very curious, how did you test and identify self-managed people?
I think
was there a method to this?
I think the only consistent method I've been able to see is that, has the person done something in their life well? They could be a black belt in karate, they could be a football captain, they could have cracked JEE. What it means is, if there is sufficient motivation, the person has the discipline to be at that task for a long enough time, right? So then what matters is the goal of the company, is that exciting enough for the individual? If it is exciting enough for that individual, the person will work hard to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the only solution that I've been able to find. What I know from reading around parenting around children is that a lot of this is developed in the first 10 years of your life. In today's world, where a lot of kids are just busy all the time, going from one class to another, one hobby class to another, or one TV channel to another TV channel, what gets lost is this building concentration on a particular task. So if you ask me, there's only one kind of child that exists in this world, and this kind of, because we try to label, yeah, aisa bacha hai, wo waisa bacha hai. There's only one kind of child that exists, and that kind of child is the child who is concentrating on a task. Because if you look, I'm saying, if you work with children, what you will see is if a child is concentrating on something, they've forgotten everything else. They're just there. They don't care. The naughtiest child, if he or she finds something of interest, a ladybug moving or a ball being put through a loop, they will forget everything else and just be with that.
True.
And a lot of and what we do as parents is we interrupt them all the time. Hey, kya kar rahe ho? Idhar aao. Don't do this. Come here. Come here. It's food time. And I'm thinking that, to me, that is one of the biggest things that parents shouldn't do, and help get that child in place who can concentrate on a task for a longer period of time. And that is how you get self-motivated people.
Absolutely. So I have a 9-year-old son, and I think most of my people leadership lessons have come from the last 9 years of parenting.
Absolutely.
You become a parent and you realize, oh gosh, this is exactly how people should be managed. And that's exactly how child should be managed. There's a lot of philosophy all says that it's through you, right? It's not for you. It's not to you, the child. It's to you. They are individual persons, and you should treat them like individual people. Give them that guardrails, give them that guidance. And I do a lot of reading on parenting, and just, because obviously it works in my leadership philosophies also. And
Absolutely.
some lessons are from parenting lessons. Since we are on parenting, and I know you're thinking about it, what are you thinking? And what are your, you shared a bit of views on parenting already. What's are you thinking something in that space?
Sorry?
Are you thinking of something in that space?
Look, I've been reading and writing. It has taken I'm reading and writing because I enjoy doing that. That is the learning curve right now. And I've genuinely enjoyed the journey so far. There are two ways of
How old is your daughter?
My daughter is 6. Yeah. So she's 6. Over the last 3-4 years, I've had a lot of time on my hands, and I've spent a lot of time with her. I think parenting helps us become better individually.
Oh yeah,
it helped me become a better
parenting hack. I feel like that's the only parenting hack. Become better yourself.
Absolutely.
Become mindful yourself.
Absolutely. 100%. I agree with that.
And you can't
done for the parent.
I can't tell my son to do X. They don't. I mean, there was a lot of people, a lot of books which talk about they don't listen to what you say. They just observe.
Yeah.
And they imbibe that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a win-win. You become better. You become a better parent.
Yeah.
It becomes better.
Absolutely. So, I think most parents struggle because they think it's a chore. They think we have to manage the kid. And the point is, parenting is not done for the child. It is done for yourself. I spend time with my daughter because I enjoy it and I want to enjoy it. Once we sold CoCubes, I spoke to people who were years ahead of me, and I asked them, if you could look back, what would you change? And they said, look, we don't remember when our child grew up. Hame bachpan ki yadein nahi. And that was the only consistent thing I heard. I did not hear, I have not made enough money. I did not hear, I did not travel much. The only thing I heard consistently was, I wish I could have spent more time with my children before they grew up. And I said, okay, let's do that. Seems like that's the way to go. And I genuinely have fun. And I think this is another thing that I've learned. For example, let's say you want to play your child says, I want to play badminton, and you're playing badminton with a 6-year-old. It's not fun. You can't play badminton with a 6-year-old. What are you talking about? Yeah. So you want to hit the shuttle, they can't hit it back. then they want to do the service, they can't do it, and they still want to play.
They,
And it
but
can
they think they're doing well, so they want to play.
they're having fun. They
They're
want to be
having fun,
around you.
exactly.
They're trying something new. They are on the
Yeah,
learning curve. Yeah.
yeah,
So what I'm saying, they can learn to hit the shuttle. It becomes a little bit more.
yeah,
Then I'll tell you what happened. I went to play badminton. My
yeah,
friend and his son, myself and my daughter,
yeah.
and my son and my friend were together. I and my daughter were together, and it was incredible, boring 30 minutes on the court. Okay. And then I
Okay,
said, look, this is not done. And I
okay,
said, why don't you let me and my friend play? And
okay.
they said no. Then I said, okay, why don't you play? They said no. I said, what the fuck should I do here? And so what I ended up doing was I said, now you are a team. Okay, I told my
Hmm,
friend to get off the court. I said, both
hmm,
of you are a team and
hmm,
do you know counting? They said, we know counting. I said, okay, we need to count to 20
hmm,
and you are a team, you need to hit the shuttle. So
hmm,
I got one to stand in front of the court, one in the back of the court. I
hmm,
went to the other side and I
hmm,
said, you hit the shuttle, you run back and the other
hmm,
person comes. And
hmm.
you have to do maximum count. You have to get to 20 as a team.
Okay.
Now I'm
Hmm.
saying they are having fun. They got to 4, then got to 6, then got to 8. It's like a challenge that they're doing.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah,
saying, hey, you don't drop, you're dropping, you do
yeah,
well.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
interacting with
And
each
they're
other.
building character also. They're building team.
I am having fun because I have to give the shuttle at the exact place. And it
Yes.
is a little bit fun for me. And, so we are having fun and,
So what was your
they're
friend
learning.
doing? What was the
No,
other
he was looking at his mobile. What else will he do
looking
here?
onlooker?
No, he went to WhatsApp and Instagram and all of that. So he was having fun. No
He was
problem.
having fun as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm saying those 15 minutes I enjoyed, the
Yeah.
kids enjoyed, and that
And
was
they
done.
learned more. And they learned
And
more.
they learned more,
The
100%.
dynamic for doubles.
100. I'm saying they learned how to hit the shuttle better because in the other one, they were already always dropping. The reason
Correct.
I mentioned this is I believe this is missing in parenting. I think every parent doesn't think of it in this manner. And I think every time with the child can be converted from boring to enjoyable if you
Absolutely.
have the mind space. So
And
this
you
is,
have to have the mindset to optimize fun in parenting. I think
yeah.
I accepted it that parenting is hard. It is hard, no doubt, but it's also fun. I think if
Hmm.
we optimize for fun, we'll find out ways to do this as you did.
No, absolutely. I'm saying this is something I've been thinking a lot about.
Very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. But that's a good thing. I'm going to copy it for my son because me and three of us go and I'm like, can you just like for 10 minutes do something so that me and Papa can play like a
Yeah.
normal game? But they're like, no, I
Yeah.
want to be here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I want to talk about marriage. And
Hmm.
I'm quoting from your book where you talk about how you moved, you went, your wife's name is Bhakti, and you
Yeah.
went to, I think, Hong Kong, flew down, got her back, and then all of
Hmm.
that dynamic going on. And you wrote in your book, pause and check. What are you giving away?
Hmm.
You get something, you also give something away.
Hmm.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that? And the one some of the context when I talk to my founder friends, they say that, oh, there's a lot of divorces happening around in the founder circle which don't get talked about. And I think there's just a different dynamic, a marriage dynamic for a founder. Can you talk
Hmm.
a little bit about what you think?
Uh, uh, yeah, I think women are more and more financially independent, which is a great thing. Which also means that they can be demanding, which they couldn't be earlier. Yeah. And as both partners become more and more independent financially, in every scenario, I
Hmm.
think you expect more out of the relationship.
Hmm.
Uh, the
Absolutely.
best way today to make a marriage last is
Hmm.
if both of you work in a startup.
Hmm.
Yeah. Then you don't have time for each
Obviously,
other. You're sorted.
no time sorted.
No time. Absolutely. Perfect
Hmm.
way. Yeah. But I'm saying,
Hmm.
uh, and the whole question then
Life
becomes that what,
hack.
sorry?
Marriage life hack.
Marriage life. And then the question is what will happen 10 years down the line? How will you look back at all this?
Yes.
Uh, so I think if you work insanely hard, then obviously you're taking away time from your family, without doubt. I think it is okay to do that 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. All of those are understandable. And
Yes.
um, what becomes missing is that when you're unable to take that hat off for an hour a day, That I think is difficult for most people. That for 23 hours, you can think about the startup. For 1 hour, can you take that hat off and be with your partner? I think that becomes
Be
incredibly hard.
present.
Be
Yeah.
present. It becomes incredibly hard. I think if you can do that, you are sorted. Actually, इससे ज़्यादा time चाहिए नहीं होता. After spending a lot of time with my child, I realized you can't spend so much time with a child. Your job as a parent is to create the environment where your child can blossom, not to spend all the time with them themselves. Similarly, now that I have been at home for the last 2 years, my wife says, I don't want you home. Please get out. Okay. When I was working, she said, why don't you come home? So, in extremes, answer doesn't lie in the extreme. It lies somewhere in between. And the key part that goes missing is communication. What we end up not doing is communicating, talking to each other about how we feel, and listening to each other. And I think as long as you can do that, you're sorted. You don't need to do much. But this is just hard to do if your mind is absorbed with
It's
something.
just hard. Yeah. And obviously, if you're not thinking about it deliberately, that you need to do, if you take a minute to think and pause, you know what you need to say. But a lot of time we get carried away with, it's always there. You take for granted your family and your relationships. And talking about family, you mentioned in the book how you almost did not hire a senior person because you felt they did not visit their family when they flew to Gurgaon.
Yeah.
And it's similar space, relationship, spouse, family. Was it because you felt that the person wouldn't connect very well? That's what you mentioned in the book with your people. Do you think there is anything beyond that which you kind of use and is an evaluation criteria? Like, is this person caring towards the family?
That's what I felt. In reflection.
Or do you still think that? Yeah.
No, I'm saying that's what I felt, exactly what you said. On reflecting over the last 2-3 years, I felt I was biased by my upbringing. That what I would have done if I came to Delhi, and what would my mother have expected me to do? In his case, that is the dynamic. Over time, that person ended up joining, stayed in CoFounder for 10 years. And I realized, he and his mother and parents share a great bond. Just that bond is different. It is not based on meeting and coming. Absolutely. But the person genuinely cares about parents. It's not that it doesn't care. Just that the bond is different and affection is shown in a different manner.
In different manners.
Yeah.
So I'm moving to like a quick round. I tried to copy it from Coffee with Karan, but it was
very good.
Yeah. But you're not getting any hamper or anything like that.
No hampers.
No hampers, and neither of the questions are as sensational.
Wow. Thank God for that.
So we're just calling it a quick 5 round. Well, the idea is to help people. So, we have maybe about that round. What is the investment which you've made in the last few years, which has given you the maximum ROI on your well-being? It could be time, energy, effort, any kind of investment.
I think the maximum ROI I got was from leaving my job and starting a company. That's the single most decision that I took. Didn't cost me any money. It felt risky, but I'm saying it was the single best decision that I took.
Quite a fork in the road, right? That
fork in the road. Yeah, facing your fears. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
What is your productivity or like a focus hack? Like if you're disappointed or overwhelmed or not feeling very focused, is there something which you do which sort of immediately centers you?
Till I get off the screen. I'm saying you've seen that screen causes a lot of this. Get off the screen. Okay. Till 3-4 years ago, the hack I had was running. I'm saying you go running for 30 minutes. I'm saying your head absolutely clears out. Let the thoughts pass away. Now I've been doing yoga for the last 3-4 years. So I'm saying a 10-12 minute yoga session also helps.
What do you think is one thing essential to living a fulfilled life?
Look, I have a Gyan answer for this here. Yeah, I genuinely think that if you have alignment in your words, action and thought, that is all that counts. You could be anywhere. You could have money, not have money. You could have a family, not have a family. You could have a job, not have a job. But as long as you have alignment in thoughts, actions, and words, I think you're sorted. Beautiful. You're absolutely sorted.
Absolutely. One question which bothers you about life, the world.
How can I convince my wife to see my side of things?
Okay. Okay.
That's it.
Let
That's
me know
all
how.
that bothers me.
A lot of men are asking, a lot of men have asked this question for many generations.
Absolutely. See,
Let us
that's
know
why it
if you
bothers
had
me.
that.
That's why it bothers me.
Okay, last one. Money, power, and fame. Choose one.
I think this is a trick question in a well-being podcast.
Yeah, it's just like that wild card, you know.
Absolutely. Trick question, unanswerable.
Pick one, suppose.
You have to pick one.
Pick one. That's
That's
the
it.
question.
If I
Obviously,
had to
you
pick
want
one, I'll
more.
pick money.
Pick money. Why? I mean, just a one line.
I think power and fame come from external in the sense of what do you mean by power? You mean that you have control over something or somebody. What does fame mean? It means somebody likes you. Okay, I don't want externality.
Sting angle.
Money, I'm saying,
Yeah.
for example, is yours. So if I had to pick
Yeah.
one, I'll pick something that is
You
actually
will
mine.
have that money. So yeah, it's a very interesting take on it. Thanks.
I'm a very smart guy.
Very smart. Awesome. Lovely chatting with you, Harpreet. I know we could have gone for a long time, you know, even with Deepak talking about that some stuff, but maybe at some point of time later. But thank you for doing this and thank you for sharing.
No, absolutely. Pleasure to
Fun
be
as
here.
well.
Thank you for inviting me.